we are gonna give this a better shot and better attention that it deserves. I just noticed that the previous one, the live stream, was very poor, and the video quality was very poor, and it wasn't working that great. And it's I know a lot of people were in there, and I wasn't even able to look at the see the people that were in the chat. So I wanted to get this going a little bit better, and because I know people are out there and finding out about this news today, and it's unfortunate news that we got, and I want to be able to interact with the people that are out there today that want to watch. Because like I said earlier, when I went on there, it wasn't the live stream wasn't working all that great. But anyway, as we kind of get going, and I realize that today is a holiday, and there are a lot of people are home, and they're just relaxing and stuff like that. And then you wake up to some news that we're not always prepared for. It's like I was saying earlier. If you guys saw the other live stream just a few minutes ago, obviously Stan Lee has passed away today, and like I said before, it was something that we all kind of knew was coming. It's not like it's. I don't want to use the word like tragic or whatnot, because when you think about a life of a 95-year-old man and everything that he accomplished, how there's talk about setting the bar, and the bar was obviously set pretty high by this gentleman, to say the least. And and you take him back, because you sit there and there's not really the words you want to say or whatnot, when it comes down to this. And I've been to services and like my grandparents and stuff, and I've always been like, oh, they lived great lives and stuff, and I was so happy. Then you get to the point and you're at the service, and all of a sudden you just lose it. And that's kind of how it is with this. Like I said, it's something the gentleman, Stan Lee, has lived such a great life, and at 95 years old, and we knew this was closer than further away, and then it happens, and then you're like, and then you just kind of lose it. And but now that I have this live stream kind of going, and hopefully it looks a little better and it sounds better. Apparently the one I did a few minutes ago, you could barely hear the audio, and I didn't know that, so I apologize for that. But now I can kind of interact and see what people are saying, and just people that are sharing their memories about I don't even want to say memories, to be honest with you. It's all the stuff that he did. But if I go and I look I can see the chat now, so I'm very happy. I can see who's in here. I can see all these people who we all love this hobby, that Stan Lee is kind of the grandfather of. And we can all kind of talk about it and share our thoughts and feelings and stuff like that, and like I said earlier, when I think about the other creators that we lost this year, we actually lost quite a few. Steve Ditko, we lost a few months back. And of course, he had his hand in a lot of stuff like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and everything. And, I always think of the big three as Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And all three of those gentlemen are now no longer with us. Kirby has been gone for a while. And then, like I said, Ditko just earlier this year. And now Stan Lee has passed away as well. And I just looking in the chat, and Stan Lee is a legend. That's saying it. I mean, it's almost like he deserves his own word. Excelsior. That's when you think about this guy and what he created, he deserves his own word. He really does. He created all these wonderful things. He's provided countless hours and days of enjoyment for all of us in here. So, Excelsior would be the word I would choose. I mean, like I said, he deserves his own word. He definitely does. I can't think, and I've had this conversation with people over the years, and I can't think of other creators, and I'm not talking about just, comics. I'm just in general, just to be able to come up with original ideas, which my father has always said to me, try to come up with an original thought. And it's a lot more easier said than done. But I can't think of a gentleman who's been able to come up with more original ideas than someone like Stan Lee. I mean, the only other one that I might be able to throw into the mix is like a George Lucas type thing, but really it's not. I don't even think it's on the same level. At least that I'm familiar with. I mean, you might have different opinions or whatnot, but as far as for me and in the thing that I enjoy, the hobby that we enjoy, the one name that stands above the rest is Stan Lee, who deserves his own word, Excelsior. It's just amazing when you think about it. And I always like looking at all the things that I didn't know he did, that he did do. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, and then to think about all the people, it's a ripple effect with what he came up with and what he had his hands in doing, and just the ripple effect of all the other people that he influenced, and just thousands of creators and artists and everything that you could imagine. Not only us as fans, but other people as creators doing all these things. He was the kingpin of the one that influenced them all. And I've been very lucky to spend some time with people that have met Stan Lee or have had the privilege of working with Stan Lee. And that's one. When I met Jim Shooter earlier this year, and that's one thing I wanted to hear from him is his thoughts on Stan Lee, and because he was the editor-in-chief of Marvel, a title that Stan Lee held as well. And the Jim Shooter, he's kind of rough around the edges, and he's known for that. But you know what? He had nothing but extremely kind words to say about Stan Lee. And I think, everybody has opinions on things, and we hear stories and stuff, but really, the best way to find out is to talk to the people that were involved. And that's a gentleman that was involved. And I think you get a more clear grip on what kind of went down when you talk to a person that was intimately involved with the situation. And so I always value those opinions or knowledge a little bit higher, because it's not based on hearsay. It's for the most part based on fact. So, but I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, I didn't see the Venom movie, and I don't know for sure if Stan Lee had a cameo in that. If you guys know if he did, let me know. But it'd be kind of neat to go see that Venom movie and see that, and that makes me wonder, if they've already done their filming for Avengers 4 or the Captain Marvel, and if his scenes are still in there or are filmed, and I hope that they are. And Dean B said Stan Lee's cameo confirmed, finished for Avengers 4. That's great. It's the my favorite one for Stan Lee has got to be the Galaxy. Well, I think it was a Galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's one of the Watchers. I think that one is probably one of my favorite ones, because that's kind of who he is. He just kind of he's always around type thing. And I think he was a Watcher, or supposed to be one of the Watchers. So I thought that was one of my favorites. I mean, they've all been great, and to see him that they were able to put him in all those movies and stuff, and it was always something we were looking for. Every movie that we watched from the Marvel Universe, we were all looking for the Stan Lee cameo. And they're fun. They're like, oh, that's Stan Lee. And it's a thing to where it's like, we're in the know. We know who Stan Lee is, but not everybody does. And with as popular as movies have gotten, and I'm sure we've probably all been there. We've gone to a movie with someone, and one of the Marvel movies, and maybe they're not in the know like we are, and we're sitting there, and there's this guy that pops up on the screen, and it's Stan Lee, and he says a little quirky line and stuff like that, and they're probably like, who's that guy? Well, we know who he is. So, it's Stan Lee. He's the one that made, majority of this happen, to be honest with you. But if you're new and you're jumping in here, we're just kind of talking about Stan Lee, and I'm feeling a little bit better. I was a little emotional earlier, but now I'm thinking about some things, and I'm starting to make me feel a little bit better, and trying to think of all the great things. And I'm surrounded by Stan Lee goodness right now, with all these books and stories that the man came up with and had a part in and stuff like that. And then all you guys in here all talking about Stan Lee, and it's one of those guys. It's one of those guys that will never be forgotten for like in hundreds of years. His name will be remembered, and he's left his mark on society. He's left his mark on the industry of comics and entertainment and everything. And everybody wants to be, part of the Marvel universe, and stuff like that, as far as like actors and things like that. And he it's like, hey, this guy right here, Stan, he came up with almost all these ideas. And it's like, to think that he did that and did all these wonderful things. It's just awesome. So I know that, like I said, everybody has, from a lot of people have today off, and you're spending it with family and just relaxing today. And then, I was up late last night taking care of some stuff, and so I woke up just a little bit ago and saw the news. And it was, like I said, it's not surprising. The man was 95 years old, and I think the life expectancy of a man in America is like 82 years old or something like that. So the guy, he lived extremely long and wonderful life, amazing life. And, he was adored by his fans. I asked Jim Shooter, I said, what do you think about the, this, how Stan Lee is being treated right now? Because I think we all agree that his last few years have not, he is, was unfortunately surrounded by some people who took advantage of him. And, it's really unfortunate that he didn't deserve that by any means. And nobody does, but he was taken advantage of and surrounded by people that were taking advantage of him. But Shooter told me, he goes, Stan is definitely working too much, and he's being pushed quite a bit further than he should. But he told me that Stan loves the fans, and he loves doing it. And if he was mentioning to me that if his age wasn't a factor, he would be doing this on his own, going to all the cons, signing all the autographs that he could, because he enjoyed that. And I thought that was really neat. As much as Stan was being taken advantage of it. And you know what? Like I said, we hear these things, and I'm not like privy to inside information, but we can kind of put things together. And but just for Mr. Shooter to tell me that how much he really enjoyed doing that, and that he would he, even though his health wasn't probably as good as it could have been, and like I said, people were taking advantage of him, he liked doing it, and he just really enjoyed the fans. And he probably did it a little bit longer than he should have, because of his health reasons and everything. But he was there. And for those of you that got to meet Stan Lee or get an autograph, or just to smile his way, it's things like that you'll remember. I saw him one time. I saw him. There was a line around the corner, as there always is, for Stan Lee, and this is probably about 6-7 years ago. And I saw him, and I was really happy to see him. I was like, it kind of made my day, to be honest with you. I didn't get an autograph and stuff like that, but to me, I'll always remember, just kind of peeking over and seeing him through the crowd of people, and he's doing his thing, and is signing all the books that get in front of him, and giving people a smile and stuff, and it's to be appreciated and loved and admired, for all that he did. And I'm looking forward to people sharing their stories about Stan Lee, and I think there's going to be a lot of them coming out, fairly quickly. A lot of them, a lot of people who knew him, who got to meet him over the last few years, especially him being introduced into the Hollywood and stuff like that. And I'm sure that all these actors that we've enjoyed watching and stuff probably have just tremendous kind words for him. And I know we all do. I don't, like I said, I don't have like any personal experience with him besides kind of seeing him, in between a bunch of people, but that's about it. But anyway, there's a lot of people in here kind of taking their Monday afternoon with me. And hopefully you guys are all kind of chatting with each other and kind of, you don't need to listen to me. It's not that, but, hopefully you guys can kind of talk with each other and share some memories of Stan Lee and stuff and all the things that he did and all the books that he had a part of and everything. And hopefully this stream is better than the other one. The other one, I went to go and see if it was okay, and it was all choppy and the sound was bad, and I saw all the comments, and I couldn't even see the comments on the other one, so I didn't want to have that one up there because it was, wasn't that great. But anyway, obviously the title says it itself. Stan Lee has passed away today. A man, a legend. Like I said, the if you guys agree, he deserves his own word. People refer to him as a legend and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as what he did, and I think Excelsior, I believe that's his word. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I mean, hashtag Excelsior should be the thing. That should be his. When I see Excelsior, I think Stan Lee every time. Okay. And he does this thing and everything. So I think it's that's what I put Stan Lee and a word together, Excelsior. And obviously all the characters that he's had his hand in making, I mean, you can't even, the list goes on and on. I mean, it's not, I mean, you can start with the major ones like, Fantastic Four or Spider-Man and stuff, but really it just goes on and on and on. And not his own things, but then all the other stuff that he influenced other people to come up with. He's like the foundation of the building that has been built up for his whole lifetime. And every creator and fan and artist is all a part of what he laid the foundation for. And he didn't do it alone, and we all know that. He had other people in the industry that had similar minds, and they put them together. But I can't imagine just putting those minds in the room together and to see what they've all come up with. Imagine being in that room with Stan Lee and Ditko and Kirby. Imagine just being the fly on the wall in that room. I mean, come on. Talk about a best day in your life. Anyway. All right. Anyway, I just wanted to jump on and kind of see. I've been looking at all the people in here: Paul, John, Pages Films and Plastics, Wingnut, DS Comics, Melissa, hello, Robert Galvin, of course, Tomcat. There's so many people in here right now. And we got to talk about Stan Lee a little bit. And obviously, Stan Lee will be the topic of many things to come for the immediate future, and very well he should be. And because the man deserves the recognition and he earned it. Wow. So there's Brian Rainey. Brian, how are you, buddy? Nice to see you in here. There's a lot of people in here, a lot of great people. Anyway, this stream is a little bit better looking, not me, but it probably sounds a little bit better. So anyway, like I said before, Stan Lee has passed away today. Excelsior, the legend Excelsior himself. Just take a minute, remember some of the things that you remember reading from Stan Lee and being a part of and all that stuff today. I think it's pretty cool. And, this is also another holiday for our veterans and stuff like that, so that's very important as well. And, you know what, just take care of your guys' self today. I appreciate you guys jumping in and taking the time and kind of sharing your thoughts. I hope everybody has a great week. And I just want to say thanks And Stan Lee, you will live on forever, and we all know that. So, all right, guys, I am going to call it good. Excelsior. That's the word for me for Stan Lee. Hashtag Excelsior. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you later. Take care of yourself. I appreciate you taking the time. Bye, everybody.